Hey guys, what's up? Dingocrikey here with another figure review. This time we're going to be looking at Transformers Animated Shockwave. This figure was originally released in December of 2008 as one of two figures released in the 5th Voyager wave and could be purchased for $19.99. This review was suggested by user Brian Rosales and user Eddie B. And this figure was of course unique for not only having 4 modes, but more specifically having two identities, an Autobot identity and a Decepticon identity with corresponding robot modes and vehicle modes, all of which will be covered here. And we'll bring the figure in for a closer look. There, I'll give you guys a good look at the tank mode. There from the front, the side, the other side, the back, the bottom, and there's the top. As far as colors, pretty much what you see. He has a whole lot of gray, good amount of black, especially on these treads, the turret. We also have this robin egg blue color up here, down here, and also the turret. Some details of red right in there. And he does have a little bit of white visible in this mode. As far as details, you can see he has detailed tank treads, and they have sort of a cartoony look. Also, the overall shape of this is definitely different from your traditional Transformer tank, as it has more of the animated aesthetic. We also have these sort of patchy looking bits and these nails outlining them. And these nails do protrude from the figure just a little bit, as hopefully you can see in that angle. Other than that, I guess I'll give you guys a good look at the turret and all of its details. Now, as you will see, this turret is of course removable, and when it's on top, the vehicle mode looks pretty good. But when you just take this, unplug it, you can see basically we have a slightly contorted robot laying down. Not only does he have that aesthetical look, but he's also pretty gappy, as you can see here and a number of places, and you can see the robot hands pretty well. Even if you're looking at the tank from this angle, you can still kind of see the long arm face. It definitely could be argued though that the turret is supposed to be on in this mode, so a lot of these problems are rendered null and void. As far as any additional features in this mode, he does have a little bit of a roll feature. As you can see, he has these wheels here and on the back treads as well, so doesn't roll all that well, as you can see, kind of just pushing him along. He also, of course, has this cannon, and you can articulate this by bringing it up like that, bringing it down. You can rotate it all the way around. You got to watch out though, because as you rotate it around, it will become kind of loose. But and you also have these mini turrets that I probably should have had flipped up right from the beginning, but as you can see there. So I'll give you guys a look at how that turns out. Here we have Shockwave compared with Voyager class, Blitzwing, and Megatron from the animated toy line. Here we have him with some of the Combiner Wars figures, Voyager class, Battlecore Optimus Prime, and Deluxe class Prowl. And here he is with Prime Beast Hunters, Voyager class Shockwave, and Dark of the Moon, Voyager class Shockwave. To transform him from Shockwave's tank to Long Arm's construction vehicle is a very simple process. First thing you want to do is just take these pieces here and bend them downward, and same with the back ones. Bend them down and then adjust these little flaps at the bottom to basically be flat with the rest of the vehicle. Do the same thing on the other side. And you may also want to take the symbol here and flip it around just like that. And then we want to mess with the turret. So we'll pull it off. First, push these little pieces here back, and then what you want to do is fold this piece downward, and see, that will flip out just like so. Reattach it, tilt the front of the crane upward, and voila, there you have Long Arm. And let's take a closer look at him, and give you guys a good look. There you have a front, the side, the other side, the back, the bottom, and there is the top. The color scheme and the details are pretty much exactly the same in this mode, just slightly different placement. Even that is not too different. And the kibble and the bad bits are pretty much the same. Now some may argue it's worse because he's now lifted up from the ground, so if you thought he looked like a robot laying down, he may look even more like that now. Also, he is, I believe, labeled as a crane rig, and he doesn't look a whole lot like a crane rig to me, but the way around that is he's a Cybertronian crane rig, so you can kind of see that label as a justification. As far as any additional features, because of the way the treads are now placed, he no longer has the roll feature, so really all we have is the crane accessory, and we'll take a closer look at that. Same articulation as we had with the cannon, and we do have the addition of this articulation up here. It can go all the way back. The crane is very short. In my opinion, it still looks kind of cool, but it definitely doesn't look very practical. It was basically essential if they were going to include the gimmick, however. Now, what does bother me, and definitely bothers a lot of people, is this right here. Because he's supposed to be disguised as an Autobot right now, but he still has that glaring Decepticon symbol. I know some people have some mods around that. Nevertheless, I think it would be considered a con. Now we'll get him into robot mode. First, looking at long arms robot mode. For the transformation, you first want to remove this accessory, and we'll put it off to the side. And you want to flatten out the tread pieces. Next, we want to separate these black pieces here. And the best way to do this is grip this one and do sort of a sliding motion. Now we can bring the legs down like this. And you want to keep them in place up there, but bring them down. And you want to close these gray panels here. Then you want to take these pieces and make sure they are pushed down like this. After that, flip out the heels and the toe of the foot on both feet. Before finishing the legs, we'll look at the upper body. First, you want to detach the arms from these black pegs here. And you want to fold in these pegs like so. Next, you want to take this piece here and pull it out of that lock and bring it down like that. Same thing with the other one. Next, we straighten the lower arms out at the elbow and flip out the hands like so. Next, we want to bring these shoulders down, just kind of grip them and pull them like that. There we go. Now we can kind of get these legs into position. Just bring them up like that. There we go. Last thing you want to do is take this piece back here and just fold it downwards. And there we have Long Arm, or Shockwave in disguise, in robot mode. And let's bring the figure in for a closer look, give you guys a quick body scroll so you can get a close-up look at all of the details. There you can see the face. I'm trying to get the shadow out of the picture there, but that should give you a pretty good idea of what it looks like. There he is from the front, from the side. There's the other side. There's the back, the bottom, and the top. As far as colors go, they're pretty much the same colors with a little bit of a different distribution. We have black and gray as kind of the main colors, but we have a lot more black this time around. We have some white on the chest and on the hands, silver on the symbol, that robin egg blue throughout, and then we have on what will become Shockwave's eye, but kind of looks like a giant zit in this mode. As far as details, we have these treads on the arms and on the legs. You can see we still have the nail details there. There's a look at the symbol. At least on mine, the details look to be kind of smudged. And we have a pretty interesting head sculpt here. Now, in my opinion, it actually turned out really good considering it has to transform into Shockwave's head. And it's really only the eye up here that gives it the appearance of Shockwave. We can also see the hands have fingers detailed in there, so that's pretty cool. As far as the arms, we have a full 360 up here. The shoulders can kind of go inward, but you don't have a whole lot of range there. The elbows can rotate all of the way around, though you will need to pull out the arm a little bit. And then you have a 90-degree angle at the elbow. The hands can do a full 360 swivel, and they can bend all of the way inward as well. We don't have any head articulation, nor do we have any articulation in the waist. The upper legs can go about that far back. And pretty far forward as well. Also, if you move this arm out of the way, we can see we can get the leg to move up pretty far. The knees will bend backward at about a 90-degree angle, though this can get in the way a little bit. Then also, you can do a full 360 there, and no feet articulation or anything like that. So he's a little bit low on articulation, probably in part due to the fact that he has to transform into another robot, but for what they had to work with, I think they did do a pretty nice job with that, and with altogether making him look like his own character. As even if this guy weren't just a secondary robot mode for Shockwave, it does look like maybe with a little bit of tweaking he could be a design in himself, and looks fairly distinct from Shockwave. Doesn't really have any direct kibble left over from Shockwave either, which is pretty cool. Now, a problem we do have is the figure does tend to be kind of floppy. Something you might have noticed is this hand here has become really loose. It's either like a hard rubber or a really soft plastic, and that might affect that ball joint in there. Also, the joints connecting the arms to the bodies can feel a little bit loose. The legs are pretty good, but I do still have some problems in there. A lot of stuff will just move around on this guy, and it can be pretty annoying. As far as functions and features in this mode, he doesn't really have any in the robot itself. However, we do have the accessory from alternate mode. What you can do here is take this peg, and he has this hole on the side of his forearm, right above his wrist. You just peg it into place, and see a little bit of that arm looseness there. In any case, it does look kind of cool when he's standing straight like this, but doesn't really look like a believable weapon for Long Arm. Here we have Long Arm with some other Transformers animated figures. From left to right, we have Deluxe Class Blur, Sentinel Prime, Ratchet, and Waspinator. And here we have Long Arm with Classics Voyager Class Optimus Prime, and Combiner Wars Voyager Class Silverbolt, and Deluxe Class Skydive. But I think that's going to sum it up for Long Arm. Let's transform him into Shockwave's robot mode. And the first thing we want to do is remove this accessory, and we'll just move it over to the side for now. Start with the legs. First thing you want to do here is just pull them down at these joints, like so. Then you want to take these gray side pieces of the body and just maybe get your fingernail in there, maybe just kind of pull at them, get them out of place. And then if you bring one of them down, both will come down. Take these tread pieces and shift them upward. They're on a double hinge. Bring them up like that. And rotate the lower legs. And that pretty much sums it up for the legs. Now we'll look at the body and the head. So what you want to do here is flip the symbol around. Then we want to take the head. You kind of want to grip it, pull it out of place. You want to make sure you have it out all of the way. So take this piece on the back and just push it downward to make sure you have none of Long Arm space visible. And take the horns, complete the movement upward. Almost there. Next thing we want to do is take the shoulders and shift them back upward to their alternate mode position. After that, take these panels up here. We're going to flip them around, revealing these things. Take the arms, pull them out of place, rotate Long Arm hand, and then you're going to pop out these claws here. Same thing for the other arm. Make sure you have everything situated. And there we have animated Shockwave in robot mode. And he now has quite a different look if you ask me. Let's bring him up close. So you can see the lower legs are different, as with the upper legs as well, some of the same details, but the placement's different. Arms and body do look more similar, but once you get into the head, it's in my opinion totally different looking and very, very cool. Do have some light piping in the eye there. Look from the front. So you have him from the side, the other side, the back, the bottom, and there he is from the top. Color scheme is pretty much the same, some small but significant differences. We have a lot less black as the lower legs are no longer completely black, and some of the black on the shoulders is replaced by more robin egg blue and this red color. And then we also have the symbol switched to gold instead of silver. As far as articulation, as far as the legs, we still have a crazy amount of motion there. At the knees, they can do a 90-degree angle, and we still have rotation at the knee as well. As far as the waist, still no articulation. The arms, same motion up here. Elbows bend at a 90-degree angle. Then we do have some really interesting articulation in the hand. Long arm's hand, or the thumb, is probably going to stay stationary here, but the claws go back all the way like this. And then you can also bring it downward, bring it up, and you can get some really cool poses out of that. As far as the neck goes, you can bring it back like that, forward like so, and you can rotate it all the way around technically. But when you go too far back, you will start to see long arm's face, so just watch out for that. Antlers are obviously pretty posable as well. You can bring them about that far back. I would say the overall feel, like of the plastic, the quality, I'm not an expert on grading it, but I would say he has a pretty dense feel, you know, just to like his forearms here, his legs. In most places, he doesn't have a hollow feel, which is definitely cool. But as mentioned, we do have problems with him being kind of a wobbly figure. You can see his head's going around everywhere. His legs will shake back and forth as well, and that can get pretty annoying. That wasn't a problem with Playware. Pretty much I had those issues just upon buying the figure. As far as other things in regards to the feel, obviously we have this very soft plastic on the claws, and as mentioned on Long Arm's hand. On the antlers, you can bend them a good deal. I haven't messed with that too much because I don't want to risk damaging it or anything, but as far as accessories or additional features, he doesn't really have any features in this mode, but we do have the crane, aka turret. To transform it into the turret, just take this trigger here, pull it backwards, the end of the turret will flip out. What we want to do here is peg it into the same place. You can't flip these parts out. Personally, I think it looks better without them flipped out in this mode. So there we have him armed with a weapon. As you can see, it's even harder for him to hold it up in this mode. Hence the problems with some of the looseness. Personally, it doesn't bother me a whole lot because I don't really like the way this weapon looks in robot mode. Basically, it looks like he's holding the turret of the tank. So here we have Shockwave with some other Transformers animated figures. From left to right, we have Deluxe Class Blur, Voyager Class Megatron, and Voyager Class Blitzwing. Here we have him with some other renditions of his character. From left to right, we have Energon Mega Class Shock Blast, Dark of the Moon Voyager Class Shockwave, and Prime Voyager Class Shockwave. And here we have him with Classics Voyager Class Optimus Prime, Combiner Wars Voyager Class Silverbolt, and Deluxe Class Skydive. Final thoughts, my personal opinions on this guy. Now, I'm not generally a big fan of the Transformers animated toy line, but I absolutely love this figure, and it's no doubt one of my very favorites from the line. The whole idea of the double identity was done really well. I enjoy all of the modes in their own way, and even if he didn't have that whole feature, even if it was just the tank and the robot, I think the figure would stand up. The design is incredibly cool, a pretty unique one, sort of a throwback to Armada Megatron, but he definitely holds up on his own. Personally, I'm a big fan of the really lanky design. Gives him really nice articulation in the legs. The big shoulders and the clawed hands can give him an imposing appearance as well. The head sculpt's a unique take on Shockwave. The figure isn't without its flaws. Nevertheless, for me, this is a personal favorite. As far as recommendations, if you're a fan of the animated toy line or show, I think this is definitely a figure you would want to have. In the show, he plays a pretty important part, and in the toy line, but in a more objective sense, he's the only one with all of these different modes and the whole double identity feature. If you're not an animated fan, I may still recommend this figure if you think the features sound cool, and for that reason, if you're not an animated fan, this may be a figure you would still consider getting. And I would argue, due to the muted color scheme, some of the nail details, he looks a little bit less cartoony than most of the other animated toys. If you're a fan of Shockwave's character, on one hand, this is one of the most different looking Shockwaves, especially design's different, and then the colors are quite different too. The colors can be fixed with getting the G1 version. Nevertheless, he's a unique take on the character, so maybe that appeals to you. If you're just looking to go back and buy some cool Transformers figures, maybe looking at the animated line in particular, this is definitely one that I would recommend. Maybe you'll totally disagree with my recommendations. Altogether, I just hope this review helped you make up your own minds about the figure, or maybe if you have the figure or aren't even thinking about buying it, was still an enjoyable review to watch. You can drop off any thoughts about this review or the figure itself in the comment section below, along with suggestions for future Transformers figure reviews. And that's all I have to say for now. Thanks so much for watching, stay tuned, and have a good one, guys. I'll see you soon.